All right. I love that video. Seriously, that is good. That is some good stuff there. So we are going to now go to quick gameplay demo. Gary and Sid give us the opportunity to sort of see some of the basic controls and gameplay mechanics. Just as a reminder, we do want to have your questions. So we can see through the chat that you're all saying hello to one another, primarily in Spanish, which is great, except for the fact that it's going to make it a little hard for us to respond to your questions. So when you do ask a question, please send those in now, and we'll start to get to some of those. And unfortunately, we have to ask that you send those in English if possible. So Gary, why don't we let's go to the screen here and just maybe walk us through some of the kind of the core mechanics of how the gameplay operates.
Yeah, so I'll just run you quickly through the basics of the controls of the game and talk a little bit and show you some of the things that I talked about in the presentation, and then FIFA Street, as I said, always will face the defender will always face you. So I talked about street ball control, one of our new defending mechanics. So if I hold the left trigger, it's kind of like the brake, the idea being a little bit like a driving game. The right trigger is accelerate or sprint, the same as it is in FIFA. The left trigger is the brake. So once you have the brake held down, when I move the left stick, I no longer move my player, I move the ball. So if I go backwards, forwards, left, right, so I can do this very quickly, responsively, manipulate the ball, try to bait the defender, draw him in, and then if I just press sprint and exit, I can try and blow by him. If I press sprint and exit towards him, then I will perform the panna. Oh, I missed it. You can perform a panna simply by sprinting at the defender. The next control I want to show, just quickly, is the bumpers, so the LB and RB bumpers. So if I hold the right bumper, that gets the ball in the air. So if you ever watch Street Football on YouTube or what have you, the players play with the ball in the air a lot. So they do keepy-ups, they flick the ball over people's heads. So I can do keepy-ups with my feet, with my knees, and I can even flick it up onto my neck stall, and then back to my feet. So again, so the idea being that you can get the ball in the air very quickly and then do tricks. So in addition to the right bumper to get the ball in the air, the left bumper is what we're calling the flare modifier. So if I hold the left bumper when I pass, I'll do a flare pass or a fancy pass. Again, I said, kind of talked about, if you play in a very stylish manner, it gains you style points, and when you get style points, you can level up your character. So if you play in a more stylish manner, it is beneficial to you. So that's the left bumper, that's the right bumper, and the two triggers. In addition to that, the right stick does skill moves. So one of the things that we wanted to try and do is make sure that the skill moves were as accessible as possible. So you don't need to hold down a modifier. In FIFA, you have to hold down left trigger before you do the skill move. You don't have to do that in FIFA Street. It's just the right stick. And you can perform skill moves from any number of positions. So if I do a step over from stand, I can do step overs from stand. I can do them from dribbling to the left. I can do them from dribbling backwards. I can even do step overs. I can even do step overs from juggling. So again, the idea being that you can learn these kind of what we call the skill move fundamentals. They're like 8 to 10 kind of fundamental moves that you can perform from any dribble pose. And again, trying to make it easier for people to understand the gestures so that they can express themselves very easily. Just a couple of more points before I hand it over to the guys to play a match. So again, I talked about the skill moves from different positions. You can do like a rainbow from stand. I can do a rainbow from juggle, and you can see there you can get different variations of the rainbow, some of them more flamboyant than others. You can do a rainbow from standing the street ball control. Again, it's a different rainbow. So all these different variety that you can add to the skill moves just by doing the same simple gesture. So those are like the basics of the controls. On the defensive side, the tackling is manual, so I press the button to tackle. I can hold A or X on the PlayStation to contain, so wherever the dribbler goes, that's what I'll follow him. and X and B are the tackle buttons. Y will rush the goalie, similar to FIFA. So those are
Those are some of the core mechanics around how how that works.
So those are some of the core things, and I don't know if the guys want to play now, and we can answer your questions.
Yeah, we've had a good flood of questions come in, so that's fantastic, and thank you for asking those in English, which makes it a little bit easier. So while Jeff and Mike get into a head-to-head match, let's ask a couple of questions. We've had a couple that have already come in from the audience, particularly around what features or what kind of technologies are coming directly from the core FIFA game. In particular, you talked about the player impact engine. So what are the kind of similar features and technologies that people can expect, and what are they bringing to the game?
Yeah, so the game's based off of FIFA 12, so we do have the player impact engine. We do have precision dribble and precision trap, although it's not as evident in our game as in FIFA, because we do have these different dribble mechanics. We've created the mechanics that we showed you earlier. So we have all those features, and we've been taking those features and making them street. So it's been quite a lot of work for us, to add these new dribble mechanics, to add new skill moves, to add all the things you see the guys doing here, shielding, all the tricks, making the goalkeeper behave in a street manner, and making the defending and the positioning as well. We had to rewrite the positioning system, so we're not really using anything from FIFA there. As I said, the dribbling is basically rewritten from FIFA, so we're not really using a lot there. But a lot of the other stuff is similar, but we have had to tune quite extensively to make the game work in the smaller environments and for the different size of environments. You can see here this is a 5-a-side environment. Other environments are smaller than this, others are bigger. So.
Stuff. And we got a question from Rodrigo with Level Up in Mexico. So we've talked a lot about the offensive attributes and the skill moves and things like that, but can you explain a bit more about how defense works? You touched on it quickly in terms of using like the A button as your contain, but how does defense work and how does it kind of fit into the game?
So it's kind of similar to FIFA, although we have done a lot of work on the tackling to try and make sure the tackling works in more of a street way than the FIFA kind of bulldozes the player over a lot of the time, and we don't really want that in our game. We want the game to flow as much as possible, so we worked a lot on adding a lot more tackling animations. We have got this contain button. We did work so you can kind of jockey or stay with the dribbler, because the dribbler's got very responsive movement. You have to be able to stay with them. So you can hold the contain button, but the contain button is only good to a certain point. If you're holding the contain button and the dribbler does a skill move or does a trick or tries to flick the ball over your head, the contain button cannot defend that, so you have to do that manually. So the contain it gives you assistance, but there is a huge element of manual play there too, because again, the game's about expressing yourself. It's about flicking the ball over your head, it's about panna, it's about beating people, and we wanted to accentuate those elements of the game, and so we had to tune the defensive side quite heavily.
Good stuff. Sid, we'll put this question to you. We've got Argentina and Mexico playing here, which obviously is talking to some of our friends in Latin America. But talk about the teams that are in the game, and in particular what our fans down in Latin America can expect.
Sure. So one of the things that we were able to do this year, and something that was being asked for in sort of the previous FIFA Street titles, was to be able to include actual licensed clubs from the league. So we picked the top leagues in England, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and the U.S. to identifying our key markets and where our, sort of the top players are, and we have all the clubs from those leagues. So we have 120 or so actual licensed league clubs. We also do have national teams, and this is where you'll probably find a lot more of the sort of Latin American teams. So you have Brazil, we have Argentina, we have Mexico, we have Chile, and I believe we have Ecuador maybe. Marketing provided us a list based on sort of some of the key territories, some of the asks that we got, and we're happy to include them, and definitely trying to make sure that we get the clubs that the fans are looking for.